Hi everyone, welcome to the Citizen channel. And yes, we have a little City Book Club special here. We tend to concentrate on older books and magazines and do excerpts, etc., and talk about stuff that's been out there for a while. But occasionally, I think this is the second or third one I've done now, we get to do a new book. And today, thank you to a gentleman called Stuart Brodkin. We're going to have a look at this, his little thoughts. They are Man City 50 memorable matches. Absolutely brilliant. I love these fan books. I mean, I love players' books. Don't get me wrong, they're all as good as each other, anything about City. But the thing with these sort of things is you connect to a lot of the stuff in it as well. And it brings back great memories. But we'll talk about that in a second. Of course, a forward by Mike Summerby as well. So absolutely fantastic. So we're going to have a look inside this, and as I say, I'll share some little personal memories as well. I'm sure Stuart won't mind. I mean, it weighs in at 210 pages. Great, it's great. I mean, it will be more about the fact you just pick it up and put it down and look at little sections later on. And you can actually get it on Amazon at the moment. Its retail price is $12.99, but some book shops, etc., on Amazon are now selling it a little bit cheaper. And you can get the Kindle version for an amazing £3.79. I'm not a big fan of the Kindle ones. I like me, I like my hard copy, whether it be a program or a magazine or a book or whatever. But that's absolutely ridiculous price. In the same way, I believe, just a quick mention, King of the Kippaxes now, you can buy that for £2 on Kindle, which is pretty amazing, to be honest with you. Obviously, it's £4 hard copy, and obviously there's a big difference. So perhaps the guys are getting a bit more reward now from Amazon and Kindle. I'm not too sure the reasons for that, but they seem to be reducing the prices, which is very good. Probably because hard copy's making a comeback. Probably this is why it's important. This is having it in your hand. This is what we want, guys, or what I want anyway. We're not all the same, are we? That's just me. I'm old school, obviously. So let's have a bit of the blurb. Stuart Brodkin, the blurb taken from the back cover. Manchester-born Stuart is now exiled in London. Oh, bless. 188.4 miles from the Etihad. Has been a City fan all his life. He attended Manchester Grammar School. Yeah, we played them at rugby once, and we all walked off the pitch because our captain got sent off. But that's another story. But skipped university to begin a career as a journalist. Graduated from local papers to working in Fleet Street. I mean, you can see that experience, if you like, within this book, certainly. To working in Fleet Street for the Daily Mirror and the Daily Express. There you go. There's a wide range of papers, isn't it? From the Daily Express to the Daily Mirror. You can't get much, you get everything in between, but you can't get much different. He has written numerous sports books and Ghost wrote Enter the Dragon, the autobiography of serial entrepreneur Theo Pathetis. Oh, I quite like Theo, I must admit. Excellent. The blurb on what's in this book. Let's have a quick look at the blurb before I sort of look at the actual in-depth in it, if you like, or take you through some of the important elements to City fans, etc. This is Stuart Brodkin's very personal account of watching City from 1956. So, yes, he's older than me, guys. I know it's hard to believe, isn't it? But this guy's older than me, so even I can't go back to 1956. To the present day, it's more than just an eyewitness record. It's a rollercoaster ride with the lowest of the lows and the highest of the highs along the way. The book takes in the cup final triumphs, the tragedies, the Joe Mercer, Malcolm Allison regime that brought the First Division title and European Cup Winners' Cup to Main Road, and latter years when the Abu Dhabi project made the City team of the decade in the UK, highlighted by a clean sweep of domestic honours under Pep. In between, there is a day when Alan Ball got his sums wrong and the team was relegated, and the drama of the Second Division playoff final at Wembley when the Sky Blues looked almost certain to end up stranded in English football's lower reaches. Yeah, well, we weren't in Sky Blue that day, but we know what we mean. Adding to the mix, the iconic Aguero moment at the Etihad when the club's first Premier League title was clinched under Mancini in one of the most sensational games in the history of football. I think it was voted that, wasn't it? And always will be for us City fans anyway. And lots of personal experience of going to games, a length and breadth of the country and abroad, and you have a book that all City fans will want to get their hands on. There you go. The book consists of 50 memorable games. There's actually 51 in this, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. That Stuart attended. Didn't attend them all. Some he, like the rest of us, he had to watch on the TV or listen to. So, but there's nothing wrong with that. We can't get to everything, can we? Starts in the mid-50s right up to the Champions League final in 2021. Yeah. Sad end to the book, isn't it? I would have looked for something brighter to end the book, but he probably did, in a way. Bringing his own experience, having met several of the team's superstars, of course, obviously working as a journalist as well, he would have had that opportunity. So there you go. That's the blurb on it. My little thoughts on it. I mean, the book begins with the journey begins, as any good book would, like once upon a time, isn't it, sort of thing. And his first visit to Main Road, a 1-1 draw with Birmingham City. Unusual in that, I quote from the book, my brother Adrian and I were not in double figures age-wise when our maternal grandpa, always known as Pap, took us to our first City game. Pat was, shall we say, frugal. Well, we're up north, aren't we? We do that sort of thing. We only saw the final 10 minutes when they opened the gates to let the crowd out. I always thought it was about 15, 20 minutes, but I might be wrong. I might be misremembering things from being a kid. And we and a few other cheapskates, yes, there you go, were rushing in the opposite direction to watch the last 10 minutes. I don't think I ever did it. The only time I ever did it in and out of the game was when I was actually at a game and we were swapping stands in a European Cup Winners' Cup game in 1970, but that's a story I've shared before. But so obviously I've not actually gone in at 3/4 time, we used to call it, didn't it? So what will 3/4 time be? That'd be like 68 minutes, wouldn't it? Something like that. So interesting anyway. And so is love, of course, even though he's only there 10 minutes and it wasn't the most excited 10 minutes. I think the goals had already been scored. The sights, of course, and the smells. I mean, certainly at night as well, if it's winter. I mean, there was something about Main Road at night was eerie but wonderful as well, if you know what I mean, if you went to Main Road in those times, of course. But the smells and the sights were enough to hook him, although that 10 minutes, as I said, was far from exciting. For each of the games, obviously, he gives very details of all the stuff. He gives a list of the teams to kick off with him. Not only includes a small match report, obviously that Birmingham one, he didn't remember too much about that, all fairness to him. And obviously where he gives a good match report where he got to see more than 10 minutes of the game, let's be honest about it. And of course, there's little off-field comments and things were happening at the time, lots of little stats and things that were happening out and round and about that time of the game as well, which is great. It's great. It makes it all not very interesting because there's always something, and obviously his own little sense of humour as well. He was at the very infamous, I'll call it, 6-2 abandoned game with Luton Town at Luton Town when Dennis Law scored all six. But Stuart cast a little bit of doubt on that, or the people at the time did. So a little bit more than that in the book. And of course, Dennis Law obviously went on to score the only goal when we replayed that game, and obviously in a 3-1 defeat. Well, typical City, isn't it? There we go. He was in the lowest crowd for the first team game. Then ever at Main Road against Swindon in 1965. A certain Mike Summerby playing for Swindon, of course. And interestingly enough, I could have been there myself, but I'm not 100% sure. I just don't know. But obviously, this was only beaten by the auto windscreen Mansfield crowd, wasn't it? At 3007 all those years later, which I definitely was at with my lad. But so it's possible as at both of those, but Stuart definitely was, and he talks about that, of course. Went to Rotherham. Yeah, we went to Rotherham. We won 1-0. We're back into Division 1. Famous lines from a famous song, but that's the line. And Stuart was there to witness Colin Bell's goal that night. Like me, he witnessed, of course, the Bally on Ice at Main Road against Tottenham Hotspur in our title-winning 67-68 season. And the same season was at Newcastle, lucky swine, for the wonderful 4-3 win to clinch the title. I think there's a lot of City fans there. There's probably a lot more claim to be there than actually were there, but obviously that's like a lot of things. It gets lost in memory, doesn't it? But Stuart was lucky enough to be there and talks about that, and obviously things around it. As I said, that's what he does. It's not basically a match report. It's all lots of different things as well. He found himself in 1969 FA Cup final in with the Leicester fans. Well, I was nearly there. A few years later at Newcastle, I did have a ticket for them, but I managed to swap it, fortunately. I didn't want to be stuck with the Geordies in there, and let's be honest about it. And he found himself in with the Leicester fans. No great thing. Obviously, once it cleared at the end, I think he said there was a group of about 50 of his fellow City fans in that section. Obviously, there'd be a little dotted about in the sections. That's how it used to be in those days. And he was chased by City fans. Yeah, that was a state of the time, wasn't it? But before the Gornick Cup Winners' Cup final, yes, in Austria. So, he was at that one and he was chased by City fans before the game. But he explains all and why it happened, etc. But they were not the easiest times to travel abroad. Stuart, of course, suffered with me and everyone else in the final game with the leaping forward to the 1996 season. City played out a 2-2 draw with Liverpool, despite despite all of us knowing, we all had radios, all of us knowing that we needed a win, and yet the City players were adamant on playing out for a draw. But hey, there you go. He suffered like me for that one. And unlike me, he wanted to go. He wanted to leave when we played Gillingham and they went 2-0 up at Wembley. But he was luckily enough for him, he was sat in a row with loads of guys either side. And apparently he felt a bit guilty because no one was getting up to leave on that row. And he didn't want to mire everyone and get up to go. So we actually stayed put and obviously saw history being made, didn't he? So that was lucky for Stuart in that case. Yeah, again, comparison with mine, my lad wanted to go and I said, no, we stay till the end. We don't ever leave until that fat lady's sung. That's all I said to my lad. So a similar sort of thing, but there's no way I was going to leave that game until that final whistle blown. We suffered together, of course. The City lost the last ever game at Main Road. Not in the context of things, not a total disaster, but again, typical City. And of course, we both rattled around that Millennium Stadium against TNS in 2003. I was there with my lad that night. I stayed over in that hotel that's next to the ground. I can't remember which brand it is. There are other hotels, of course, in Cardiff. But, of course, we rattled around with the other 10,123 of us at that game, with approximately about 8,000 City fans in the crowd, about 500 TNS fans. So we was there at that one. So all these games we could have chatted, we could have mixed and met each other and probably passed each other on the way. He revisits UEFA Cup matches with teams we've never heard of, to be honest with you, until we start, of course, to mix it in the Champions League with the big boys, yeah, and perhaps other teams we've never heard of as well, which tend to get in there as well. Stuart saw Yaya, of course, lucky enough to see Yaya destroy United. I had to watch that one on the telly. And then obviously Yaya destroys Stoke again. I had to watch that at City Square. So, yeah, like me and my lad, he also saw that wonderful Aguero moment. But unlike me and my lad, he couldn't be there. He was traipsing around the garden at 2-1 panicking, obviously, as probably you all would have done. But me and my lad was right at the front of the third tier of the Colin Bell stand. So we sat and suffered and hoped and prayed. But he talks about that, of course. And even though we had to, as I say, it doesn't matter whether you watch that at home, listen to on the radio. If you're a City fan, it's still the most, wonderful moment in City history for most of us. He doesn't just dwell on the good times, of course. We've had since that first title win, but throws in the lows as well, because we've had plenty of those guys, haven't we? Even though things have been so good. I mean, who can forget the 2-1 loss to Liverpool, 5 on an aggregate in that Champions League quarter final, where it all looked so good in that parts of that first half before things went against us to work out, and we went out of it. That was 2018. And don't mention the Spurs agony, of course, of VAR in 2019, which, again, was another low. We've got Kompany's. He was there for Kompany's long-range shots. I was behind that one. A record equaling 6-0 FA Cup final victory against some team from down south. More Carabao Cups, of course. He was there. Then we can shake a stick out, and some of those are covered in this. And games we could only live and breathe through TV, of course, as COVID hit us, including a long-awaited win at Anfield that, unfortunately, we could only watch on the old goggle box. The City journey goes on and almost finishes at chapter 49, as Stuart was, as mentioned earlier, lucky or unlucky enough, depending which way you look at it. I think he was unlucky, and I'm so glad. I so wish I could have got a ticket for it, but in the end, it would have been so disappointing. Would have been able to cope. I'm not too sure, but he went on to suffer the defeat, of course, to Chelsea in the 2021 Champions League final. But he doesn't end it there. He doesn't end it at chapter 49. Obviously, we've got chapter 50, and of course, he concludes this book, this wonderful book, on a high as he takes in the 5-1 rout of Arsenal this season, the 21-22 season. And a bonus chapter, yeah, I did mention before there's 51, didn't I? And there's a bonus chapter, and it's a United game. But it's not gone mad, guys. You'll have to buy the book to find out the reasoning behind this one. I'm not going to tell you here. There is so much to read and enjoy in this from personal stuff to basic facts, but it's the personal stuff that really counts. Plenty of quirky observations in it. Yeah, I mean, if you get a little bit overwhelmed by wordy books, you won't with this, because you can just pick it up and put it down. You can read 5 or 10 minutes at a time, little chapters, little games, certain games. I mean, no matter how old you are as a City fan, there's stuff in this where it'll sort of bring your memories alive as well. As I was reading through some of the games games and the ones I was there, memories that I'd just not registered, even when I do my little history stuff, come back to me. Oh yeah, I remember this and I did that and that was great, or that was bad, or that sort of thing. And that's what these sort of books do. It's a real fans book for fans with lots of great information. As I say, not just the stats, but everything personal, everything around in and around what was happening with City at the time, as well off the pitch as well as on the pitch. It's a brilliant book, and it's not only the obvious as well as I said. It's not always the obvious games. There's a lot of games in there. You think, what's he put this one in there for? But every game has got something about it. We probably forgot loads of, if you like me, been to hundreds and I don't know, thousands of games. You forget certain ones, but every game's got something about it. When I look back at my day programs of these games, and they've all got significance of some sort, and that's what Stuart does in this. He just doesn't look at the obvious. He looks at the less than obvious as well. And brilliant. Loved it to bits, and I will carry on. I've not fully got through it, as I said. I've literally done this review within a day of getting this fantastic book off Stuart, and my appreciation. But get on Amazon. At the moment, it's only available on Amazon. You might be able to pick it up elsewhere. But as I say, if you don't mind the Kindle version, that's as cheap as chips as well, isn't it? But don't miss out. And I think there will be more copies made available as well. There's a limited number of this book, Man City 50 Memorable Matches by Stuart Brodkin. Another worthy City fan book to add to your collection. I hope you enjoyed this little book club special. My thanks to Stuart again. Anyway, thanks for watching. What we're going to do the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More important, let's all look after each other. To meet here again on the Citizen channel. Or perhaps have a look at my film and TV channel if you get a look. I'll try and inform and entertain on there as well. If you can get a look on there, please. I'm always low on likes on there as well. So get on a page, give us a like. That'd be fantastic. And make an old man very, very happy like this book has. Thanks for watching. Until we meet again, guys. I only ask one thing, don't I? Please, stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.